Be me. 28 years old, work as a senior software engineer at a respectable tech firm. My team was solid. We had a good rhythm, a mix of guys and girls, all competent, no drama. We all respected each other's skills. Our lead, Frank, was a decent, no-nonsense guy who got promoted to a different department. So we were getting a new manager. The email goes out. Her name is Larissa. She has an impressive resume. Degrees from fancy universities, glowing recommendations from previous jobs. We were all cautiously optimistic. Larissa shows up on Monday. Early 30s, professionally dressed, very confident, almost aggressively so. She calls a team meeting first thing. We all gather in the conference room. She gives this big speech about her vision for the team. Lots of corporate buzzwords, synergy, paradigm shift, proactive engagement. Then she gets to the main point. My primary goal is to foster a truly inclusive and safe environment, especially for the women on this team. We all nod along. Sounds fine. Who doesn't want a safe environment? Then she says it. And to that end, I am instituting a zero-tolerance policy on mansplaining. The air in the room changes. It goes from neutral to slightly chilly. My colleague Daniel, a genuinely sweet guy who could talk for hours about database normalization, visibly shrinks in his chair. Priya, one of the senior female devs, gives a slow, deliberate nod. Sophia, a junior developer, just looks confused. Larissa continues, for those who are unaware, mansplaining is when a man explains something to a woman in a manner regarded as condescending or patronizing, often about something she already knows. She looks directly at the four men on the team, me, Daniel, Ben, and Leo. I will not have my female engineers feeling belittled or having their expertise questioned. If I see it, I will shut it down immediately. Are we clear? We all just sort of mumbled, yes, clear. The meeting ends. We walk back to our desks in near silence. Ben, our front-end specialist, messages me on the internal chat. What the hell was that? I type back, new boss speedrun to making things awkward. My internal thought process was simple. Just keep my head down, do my work, and avoid whatever nonsense this was. How hard could it be? The first week is weird. Meetings are tense. The easy back and forth we used to have is gone. The guys are quiet, choosing their words carefully. Larissa seems to love it. She keeps praising the thoughtful, concise contributions from the men and the newfound confidence from the women. The women weren't lacking confidence before, but okay. The first incident happens on Wednesday. We're in a sprint planning meeting. Sophia is presenting her plan for a new user authentication feature. She's a good coder, but still junior. She's a bit nervous. She gets to the part about database schema. I see a problem immediately. A pretty serious one. Her design would create a nasty bottleneck and a potential data integrity issue down the line if we ever needed to scale. It's a classic junior mistake. I made it myself years ago. Frank had corrected me. So, I do what any senior engineer would do. I wait for her to finish her sentence, then I raise my hand slightly. Sophia, that's a solid start. One thing to consider might be the indexing on the user tokens table. If we structure it this way, we might run into performance issues during high traffic periods. Maybe we could use a composite key instead. It would prevent, I don't get to finish. Mark. Larissa's voice cuts through the air like a knife. It's sharp and cold. I stop talking. Everyone looks at her. Sophia has presented her plan. She doesn't need you to correct it for her. I'm completely stunned. I wasn't correcting. I was just offering a suggestion based on a past project. You were explaining to a female engineer how her own design was wrong. You were talking down to her. That's exactly what we're not going to do here. The room is dead silent. I can feel my face getting hot. I'm being publicly dressed down for doing my job. I look at Sophia. She looks horrified, her face bright red with embarrassment. This was clearly not helping her feel safe. She stammers, "No, it's okay. He was just. Sophia, you don't need to defend him. I'm here to support you." Ugh, I just shut up. I lean back in my chair and stare at the table. Daniel is looking at his keyboard like it holds the secrets of the universe. Ben is tracing patterns on his notepad. Leo, who's usually quiet anyway, seems to have turned into a statue. The meeting continues, but the energy is gone. Sophia's plan, with the critical flaw still in it, gets approved, because nobody else dares to say a word. After the meeting, I go to the kitchen to get coffee. My hands are still shaking a little from the sheer audacity of it. Sophia comes in a few minutes later. She won't make eye contact. "Hey," she says quietly. "About the meeting, you were right about the composite key. I looked it up. My design would have broken under load." It's fine, Sophia. "Don't worry about it. I'm really sorry," she says, looking genuinely distressed. "She put me on the spot. I didn't know what to say." "It's not your fault," I tell her honestly. "It's this new policy." We stand there in awkward silence for a moment. Then she asks, "So, should I fix the design?" I take a sip of coffee. I'm not your manager. You should probably ask Larissa. The look on her face tells me that's the last thing she wants to do. She ends up quietly fixing the flaw, but doesn't tell Larissa she got the idea from me. This becomes the new normal. A week later, it's Ben's turn. Priya, a very competent backend developer, was having a minor issue with how our API was rendering data on the front end. It wasn't her fault, it was a weird CSS quirk in a framework we were using. Ben is our resident CSS wizard. He lives and breathes this stuff. He sees her struggling from his desk. He walks over. Hey Priya, you having trouble with the flexbox alignment? Priya nods. Yeah, this container just won't center. It's driving me crazy. Ah yeah, that's a classic one, Ben says, smiling. The parent container needs display flex and align items center, but the tricky part is you also need to set. Ben. Larissa's voice comes from her office. She has the door open. She was listening the whole time. Ben freezes. Priya's face hardens. She's not embarrassed like Sophia was. She's annoyed. Larissa, he's just helping me, Priya says, her tone clipped. Priya is one of our most senior engineers. I'm sure she's perfectly capable of looking up CSS documentation without having it explained to her. Ben just puts his hands up in surrender. My mistake. Won't happen again. He walks back to his desk and puts on his headphones. The silence is now a permanent resident on our team. The men have completely stopped talking unless directly addressed. No more casual suggestions. No more, hey, have you tried this? No more collaborative problem solving. We do our tickets. We push our code. We say nothing. The team's velocity, our measure of productivity, drops by 30% in the first month. Bugs start slipping into production. Small things at first. A feature goes live with a known issue that Daniel had spotted. He'd mentioned it to Leo in a private chat, but neither of them dared bring it up in the daily stand-up meeting. The quality assurance tester on our team, a woman named Jenna, gets the blame. Larissa coaches her on being more detail-oriented. The irony is so thick, I feel like I could choke on it. The atmosphere is poison. The women on the team are also starting to feel it. They are now isolated. The guys who used to be their sounding boards, the ones they'd casually ask for a second opinion, are now silent walls. If Priya wants a code review from Daniel, she has to formally schedule a meeting. He won't just lean over and look at her screen anymore. It's all by the book, sterile, and incredibly inefficient. Larissa, however, seems to think everything is going wonderfully. In her one-on-one meeting with me, she tells me how proud she is of the cultural shift. The men are finally learning to listen, she says, beaming. They're making space for the female voices on the team. I just nod. Yes, there's definitely more space now. There's a universe of space. A cold, dead vacuum where ideas and collaboration used to be. I think about going to human resources, but what would I say? My boss told me not to be condescending to women. They'd laugh me out of the building. Larissa's policy was insidious. On the surface, it sounded righteous. In practice, it was a weapon to enforce silence and control. Then comes Project Chimera. This is the big one. A complete overhaul of our main product's architecture. It's a massive undertaking. High stakes, tight deadline, and the personal pet project of our chief technology officer, a sharp guy named Mr. Harrison. Larissa is, of course, leading it. She unveils her grand architectural plan in a kickoff meeting. It's presented in a beautifully designed slideshow. Lots of diagrams, charts, and buzzwords. And it is fundamentally, catastrophically flawed. I'm not the only one who sees it. I can see it on Daniel's face. I can see it in the way Leo subtly shakes his head. I can see it in Ben's tight-lipped expression. Larissa's design relies on a single, monolithic microservice to handle all user authentication and session management. It's a rookie mistake in distributed systems design. A massive single point of failure. When she finishes her presentation, she smiles brightly. So, any thoughts before we start breaking this down into tickets? The silence that follows is the loudest one yet. 4 senior and mid-level male engineers, who collectively have decades of experience, sit there like mannequins. I am screaming internally. I'm thinking about the late nights, the server crashes, the customer data that will be lost when this thing inevitably collapses. But I remember the shame of being shut down in front of everyone. I remember Ben getting reprimanded for trying to help. I say nothing. I just stare at the diagram on the screen, a blueprint for our own destruction. Then a voice. It's Eleanor. Eleanor is the quietest person on the team, male or female. She's in her 40s, a principal engineer, and probably the most intelligent coder in the room. She rarely speaks in meetings, but when she does, everyone listens. Larissa, she begins, her voice calm and even. I have a concern about the authentication service. It looks like a single point of failure. If that service goes down, the entire platform becomes inaccessible. Have we considered a decentralized approach, perhaps using JWTs with a token refresh system? It was a brilliant, polite, and technically sound critique. Larissa's smile tightens. She sees this not as a helpful suggestion, but as a challenge to her authority. even from another woman. Thank you, Eleanor. I appreciate the input, but I've already run the simulations. The service is designed to be highly resilient. For the sake of velocity, we need to avoid over-engineering. We'll stick with this design. She is mansplaining to the most senior engineer in the room about her own flawed design. The irony is radioactive. Eleanor doesn't argue. She just gives a single, slow nod, her face unreadable. She closes her laptop and leans back, and that was it. The last chance to save Project Chimera was gone. The die was cast. We were going to build this train wreck. The next 2 months are a slow-motion disaster. We enter a state of malicious compliance. We take Larissa's flawed design and we implement it. Perfectly. Every ticket is completed exactly as written. Every piece of code conforms to the specifications of the architecture document. We are building a beautiful, ornate, perfectly engineered time bomb. The cracks start to show early. The staging environment is constantly falling over. The database locks up under even moderate testing loads. Larissa gets more and more stressed. She starts micromanaging. She holds daily, 3-hour-long meetings where she goes over every single line of code. She can't find anything wrong with the implementation. Because there isn't anything wrong with it. The problem is the blueprint she gave us. But she can't or won't see it. In her mind, her design is perfect. Therefore, the failures must be due to our incompetence. The team needs to be more diligent, she declares in one meeting. We are missing our performance targets because of sloppy execution. Daniel looks like he's about to have an aneurysm. He's been working 60-hour weeks trying to optimize a system that is fundamentally unoptimizable. The team morale is in the gutter. We're all just waiting for the explosion. The deadline for the client demo approaches. We all know what's going to happen. It's like watching a car slide on ice towards a brick wall. Demo day arrives. Mr. Harrison, the CTO, is there. So are 2 executives from the client company. We are all gathered in the big fancy boardroom. Larissa is a bundle of nerves, but she's trying to project confidence. She starts the demo. It works for about 90 seconds. She clicks on a feature, the loading spinner appears, and it just spins, and spins, and spins. Larissa starts sweating. She clicks again. Nothing. She tries to navigate to another page. The browser returns a 503 service unavailable error. The authentication microservice, the one Eleanor warned her about, has fallen over. The single point of failure has failed. The entire platform is dead. The client executives are staring at the error screen with stony faces. Mr. Harrison's expression is thunderous. Larissa, he says, his voice dangerously calm. What is going on? Larissa starts stammering. It must be a network issue, a temporary glitch. It was working perfectly in testing this morning. We all know it wasn't. Mr. Harrison isn't an idiot. He's a former engineer. He knows a network glitch from an architectural failure. He turns his gaze from Larissa to the rest of us. I want everyone on the engineering team in an immediate post-mortem, now. The clients are politely shown out of the room. We all file into our regular conference room. The mood is funereal. We sit around the table. Larissa is pale and visibly shaken. Mr. Harrison stands at the head of the table. He is radiating fury. Someone is going to tell me what the hell just happened. And they're going to tell me now. Larissa opens her mouth, probably to spin some more excuses. The design was flawed from the very beginning, a calm voice says. It's Eleanor. She hasn't spoken a word all morning. All eyes turn to her. Larissa glares. That's an outrageous accusation. The design was sound. No, it wasn't, Eleanor says, her voice still quiet but carrying immense weight. It had a single point of failure in the authentication service. I pointed this out in the kickoff meeting 2 months ago. Mr. Harrison looks at Eleanor. Is this true? Eleanor nods. Yes. He then looks at me, Daniel, Leo, and Ben. You are my senior engineers. Did you see this flaw? This is the moment of truth. I take a breath. Yes, we all did. Daniel and Ben nod in agreement. Mr. Harrison looks bewildered. Then why in God's name did none of you say anything? Why did you build it? The air is thick with unspoken words. How do you explain the subtle, soul-crushing tyranny we've been living under? Before any of us can try to formulate an answer, Eleanor speaks again. Because they were not allowed to, she says simply. She opens her laptop and turns it to face Mr. Harrison. I started keeping a log after the first week, she says. I have documented every instance of technical feedback from a male engineer being shut down and categorized as mansplaining. My jaw drops. She continues, coolly and methodically. On August 12th, Mark attempted to point out a critical database flaw in Sophia's design and was publicly admonished. On August 20th, Ben attempted to assist Priya with a front-end issue and was reprimanded. I have 7 other such incidents recorded, with dates, times, and witnesses. She clicks a few keys. For Project Chimera, I have the meeting minutes from the kickoff where my own concerns were dismissed. I also have chat logs between Daniel, Mark, and Leo from immediately after that meeting, where they all identified the exact point of failure that brought the system down today. They knew it would fail, but they also knew that speaking up would result in public humiliation and accusations of sexism. She had it all. A meticulous, undeniable dossier of Larissa's reign of terror. The room is so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Larissa looks like she's seen a ghost. Her entire professional facade has just been vaporized. She opens her mouth, but no sound comes out. Mr. Harrison stares at the screen, then at Larissa, his face a mask of cold rage. He takes a deep, slow breath. Larissa, you and I are going to have a long talk with human resources. He then turns to the rest of the team. Eleanor, you are now the technical lead for Project Chimera's recovery. I want a new architectural proposal on my desk by Monday, built by you, Mark, Daniel, and Leo. Your authority on this project is absolute. He looks at all of us. The culture of silence on this team ends today. I don't care who you are. If you have a technical concern, you speak up. Is that understood? We all nod. It's like a weight has been lifted from the entire room. Larissa's authority didn't just collapse, it was annihilated. Weeks later, the team is transformed. It's like we've woken up from a bad dream. Larissa was moved to a different part of the company, in a role with zero managerial responsibilities. We never see her. Under Eleanor's quiet, competent leadership, we're thriving. The chatter is back. The collaboration is back. We argue about code. We help each other out. We solve problems together. It's noisy and chaotic and wonderful. We redesigned Project Chimera from the ground up in 2 weeks. It's now stable, scalable, and fast. Mr. Harrison is thrilled. The client is happy. One afternoon, I'm at my desk, wrapping up for the day. Sophia, the junior developer from the very first incident, walks over. She has her laptop with her. She looks a little sheepish. Hey, Mark, she says. I'm working on the new API gateway. I'm a little stuck on the rate-limiting logic. I've read the documentation, but I'm just not getting it. She pauses for a second, a small smile playing on her lips. Could you mansplain it to me? I look at her and we both start laughing. A real, genuine laugh. The kind we hadn't had in months. It felt good. It turned out the problem wasn't men explaining things. The problem was a boss who didn't know the difference between offering expertise and being an asshole, and worse, a boss whose ego was more important than the project itself. Her authority didn't collapse because she was a feminist. It collapsed because she was incompetent.